glad that you're able to join us. We're honored to have Dr. Milgram, who is the director of the Office of Intramural Training and Education for the National Institute of Health, meaning that she oversees all the training programs that she will share, because I'm sure there's many that I don't know about that she oversees. She has a BS in physical therapy from Temple University and a PhD in cell biology from Emory. She has done postdoctoral training at Johns Hopkins University and was on the faculty of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So she is a Tar Heel. And she has had numerous leadership positions prior to 2007 joining the NIH office of the director in her current position. And she has mentored and trained over 5,000 trainees at NIH. And we're just very glad that she's able to join us before her pizza.
Yeah, that's true. I was sharing that it's almost Friday night here on the East Coast. It is actually pitch dark out here. And that Friday night, almost always, I say to my wife, what are we going to do for dinner? And she says pizza. So it is true. But I'm really glad to be here, and the pizza can wait a little bit. All right, absolutely can wait. So I thought what I would do is talk with you all about some of our programs and give you a sense of what we offer, both during the summer and during the school year. Okay, I'm going to talk about internship opportunities. I'm going to stop a lot of points along the way and take questions. Okay, so you can put them in at any time, and I will periodically pause. I also am willing to talk about other things about NIH, science, careers, whatever. Really, really open to having this conversation. So we'll start with the slides and then we'll take it from there. All right, so it's just going to take me a second here to share my screen. All right, can everybody see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I think that the slide is in some ways, it's like one of these, duh, of course, right? We are entering the third year of a global pandemic with unbelievable consequences for human health and the life of quality of life and life of so many people across the globe. And so it almost goes without saying that we face these profound challenges. We have elevating rates of disability and chronic diseases. Long COVID is a new long-term chronic disease that we'll have to learn about and deal with and treat. But we have many others, from diabetes to various mental health concerns, an obesity pandemic. We have younger people experiencing cardiac issues because of lots of issues in the health of folks here in the US and globally. There are so many health disparities and health inequalities, and I know that drives many students towards careers in research and healthcare and science policy. And it's a really critical question of our time. What is it that we can do both now and in the long term to address issues of health disparities, to make sure that everyone has access to quality healthcare that comes without bias? Also, we have to make really complicated medical decisions. And, we do that in a country where a lot of people stopped science courses after 9th or 10th grade in high school, and where they see scientists as nerdy, geeky people, right? There's distrust between science and society, and maybe in some cases not distrust, but definitely a disconnect. I mean, look at all the vaccine deniers, debates about COVID, whether masking helps, right? In many, many ways, people look at the scientific community and the healthcare community as this separate community that they maybe don't need to pay so much attention to. And I've addressed some things about the health of individuals. The honest truth is that our planet is also very, very unhealthy. Climate change is a profound risk moving forward. We will have health influences of climate disasters. We will have massive migrations as a result of climate disasters. And so it's not just the people walking the planet, it's the planet itself. So we face tremendous challenges. If we want to address those challenges, we need a really talented, creative, diverse group of individuals interested in STEM careers, or science, technology, engineering, math, and medical or medically related careers. We need a really diverse workforce to tackle these challenges, right? And that's a really key point when I think about recruiting people to NIH to do internships. Is it's this formative time where you can explore which of these challenges really excites you, and how is it that you want to tackle these challenges. It goes without saying, whenever we talk with someone working in STEM fields, that they had an internship or work experience at some early time that solidified their interest and gave them tools to succeed. So it is critically important that students find these opportunities. But it can be overwhelming. It can be difficult and feel like I am applying, but I have, it's just this sea of other applicants, and imposter fears and all kinds of stories we tell ourselves get in the way of applications. We see an opportunity and we think, oh, I'm not going to get in. Or we see an opportunity and we say, oh, I'm not good enough. What I'm here for today is to make it clear that all of you are good enough. And maybe you won't want to do an internship at NIH, but you'll want to do an internship somewhere else. And I'm going to talk about a lot unique to NIH, but I'm also going to talk about some general principles. One of the really important things is for you to understand a little bit about the NIH. So the NIH is the National Institutes of Health. We are a federal agency, and our mission is to uncover new knowledge that will lead to better health for everyone. While we are a U.S. federal agency, we work on global diseases, and we partner with researchers across the globe to address research and healthcare issues. It's really important to understand that it's not the National Institute of Health. There's an S there. It's actually 27 separate institutes and centers that all work together to make up the NIH. And we use a lot of abbreviations. And when you apply, people will say things like, which IC are you interested in? So I'm going to teach you some of that jargon so that when you apply, you feel confident, you understand the agency, what we do, how to be successful. So we have 27 different institutes and centers. I'm going to show you some of them here. For example, here's one NCI, the National Cancer Institute, a set of researchers and policy folks and educators interested in cancer. How do we prevent cancer? How do we treat cancer? What are cancer health disparities? So that's one focused on a disease process. But there are others focused on an organ system. For example, the NEI, or National Eye Institute. So there are 27 different institutes and centers. They all work together through this office called OD, or the Office of the Director. And my office, the Office of Intramural Training and Education, is in the Office of the Director. Now, NIH each of the NIH ICs, or at least most of them, have two major divisions. So they have an extramural division and an intramural division. Extramural means that we send money to colleges and universities and research institutions to support them doing research and training students, and that's outside the NIH. We send money outside of NIH. All of you at schools right now that have NIH research programs or training programs, you would be a part of the extramural NIH. There's also a division called intramural, and that is here on the NIH campus where you do research and you get training working for NIH directly. So I am a part of the intramural research program, and the internships I'm going to talk about today are intramural programs. Now, I said most of the institutes have intramural and extramural. All of these blue circles are institutes with both divisions. And there are tests that people take when they're done working at NIH to see if they can name all of these. Talk about alphabet soup, right? You just look at a bunch of letters. So I define two of them. There's one, NIMH, the National Institute of Mental Health, NIA, the National Institute on Aging, NHGRI, the National Human Genome Research Institute. And so on our website, we have a link that describes all of these. I'm going to give you a lot of links and access to resources. There are a few that only have an extramural division. One is the Fogarty International Center. The reason they have only extramural division is that they are a center that funds research in the developing world. So they provide support for international scientists to attack global health. The Center for Scientific Review, they review grants, so they don't do research. And then one last institute, the National Institute of General Medical Science, they only have an extramural division, but all the rest of these have an intramural division, and you can train there if you are interested in it. Okay, so we are a very large organization with a mission of doing research, funding research, training students, and funding the training of students, okay? And the internships I'm going to talk about are here. So we play a major role in supporting and performing biomedical research. We play a major role in preparing students at the high school, community college, and college level for their next steps, whether that be a degree in an area related to healthcare, related to health policy, related to research. You can do research at NIH at the very basic level. How do basic molecules interact to drive cellular processes? So really at the cellular, molecular, and genetic level. You can do translational work. How do we take this work in an animal model and apply it to humans? Or you can do clinical work. You can actually work with human subjects to address questions in human health. So we have people working at all of these levels. And you can take your love of any element of science and find ways to grow and learn here at NIH. So some people are interested in behavioral science. Some are interested in biological sciences, chemical sciences. Lots of people who love math and computational science come here and put that love to work from the perspective of healthcare and research, the physical sciences, and the social sciences. There's really a broad array of science represented here. We provide funding for people to train largely in the US, but there are some training programs globally. Those are for much more senior people and things you would want to learn about at a much later time in your educational career. And some programs are really focused on you. and helping you receive the training you need to explore careers in healthcare and research, to get the credentials you need to have those careers. So I'm going to talk about those internships, okay? And those internships are in what we call the Intramural Research Program, and we call ourselves the nation's biomedical research institution. All of the research done here is to promote healthcare, nationally and internationally. The research is done in 24 of the NIH institutes and centers. Our main campus, you can see here, this is a flyover of our main campus. It's in Bethesda, Maryland, right on the edge of Washington, D.C. But we also have campuses in other places like North Carolina, Arizona, Michigan, and Montana. Some of these are very small. The bulk of the campuses are in Maryland, the main biggest one being in Bethesda, several smaller ones, one in Baltimore, where the National Institute on Aging and the National Institute on Drug Abuse are, and one in Frederick, Maryland, where a part, not all, but a part of the National Cancer Institute is. So generally, if you're going to do an internship at NIH, you are going to come to one of these campuses. I will also talk about one opportunity for virtual internships. We have over 950, probably now 1,000 groups doing research. And again, it can be very basic, more translational, or clinical. The bulk of the things that our interns do is basic and translational. There aren't as many clinical research opportunities, but some of our interns come and do clinical research. And there are opportunities for students at all levels. Now, something really unusual and unique about coming to NIH is that we have the only research hospital dedicated exclusively to biomedical research. Every patient in our hospital, you can see it right here. It's this big building right here. Every patient in this hospital is in a research protocol. Some of them are focused on understanding rare diseases, trying new therapies, studying new interventions, new preventative treatments, etc. There are over 900 active protocols that are ongoing. Now, one of the reasons I like to talk about this is all of us in our own families and our lives sometimes face really complex medical situations. Recently, my very dearest friend, I consider her like a sister, called and told me that she was diagnosed with a really difficult, poorly defined neuromuscular disease, right? So she had issues with muscle weakness. And we were able to go to this website right here, clinicaltrials.gov, and look and see if NIH offered any options for her. And in fact, we found a clinic, and she was able to come here and be seen by one of the NIH clinical researchers. Every patient in our hospital comes here for free. The research protocol supports them being here. So this is sometimes a really key part of us dealing with difficult health information ourselves. From the perspective of students, this is a real opportunity to see the link between research and healthcare. And I know that many of you are probably interested in healthcare careers, and it can be very exciting to make the connection between the biochemical pathways and the processes you learn in a book and actual patients. That's like a chance to see the entire enterprise, what we call bench to bedside. And sometimes it goes back. So we learn something from patients, we take it back to the research lab, and we do some more experiments. So bench to bedside research. Now, we have a lot of training opportunities, all right? So many that we have to put it on a really complex table. Today, I am going to talk about the summer internship program and the post-bacc program. But there are programs later when you are farther along in your education. You might want to come here for part of your PhD as part of the graduate partnership program. You might want to come as part of clinical training, and we have something called the Medical Research Scholars Program. We have programs for people in medical school, the Clinical Electives Program, and that's other clinical degrees as well. So let's look at all of these programs and make sure that you all understand them and feel really sort of well-versed in what to do in case you want to apply. All right. So before I talk about the specifics of the program, I'm going to tell you what my office is. So I work directing something called the Office of Intramural Training and Education, or OITE. And our job is to make sure that every trainee who comes here has a really positive experience, that you have everything you need to grow and develop. You learn a lot of skills in the lab, but you learn other skills outside of the research space in programs that we offer. So for example, we offer workshops on science communication. We have a very large program on school and career exploration and career readiness, meaning you learn about what it takes to pursue various career options. You learn what it takes to get into dental school, nursing school, social work school, graduate school, public health school, etc. So we have a big program of workshops in that area. We also have a very large program on resilience and well-being. These careers are tough. There's a lot of setback. There's a lot of intensity. These are some of the harder courses in college. And so we teach you skills to be more resilient. Resilience is our ability to calmly face challenges. It's our ability to respond to stress in thoughtful, calm ways. And we teach a big program in resilience called the Becoming a Resilient Scientist series. A part of being resilient is taking care of yourself. So we have a vigorous health and mental health program. We teach leadership. We teach you how to get the most out of mentoring relationships. We teach all kinds of relationship management skills. So you're learning in your research group, but you're also learning these other skills. We have some really important major events, and we actually don't use the language boot camps anymore. I need to change the slide. We call them intensives. So we have an all-day career symposium. We have a graduate and professional school fair every July. The last 3 years, that's been online, and my guess is we will remain partially online forever. So you'll get to interact regardless of where you are for the summer. We run poster days where all of the students get to present their work. We teach people about translational science, right? How is it that problems in the clinic are tackled in the research lab? And a big part of our training is learning how to talk to non-scientists, how to advocate for science. So we teach a science advocacy intensive. We have a career center that will help you with career exploration. We have a wellness center that will help you stay fit and healthy. And we have a very large program of pre-graduate and pre-professional advising. So you're not just coming to work in a lab, you're coming to do all of these activities as well. So we're going to go through the summer internship program and the post-bacc program. And I'm going to start with eligibility and then walk you through the whole application process. Let me just focus down here. So the summer internship program, you can come all the way from the last senior year of high school through college. You can even come for the summer internship program when you're enrolled in graduate school or professional school. The post-bacc program, which I'm going to talk a lot about, is for people who've just finished their bachelor's degree. All right, so a few eligibility criteria. Some of our programs require citizenship or permanent residency status. Some do not. Some are open to foreign nationals. Those are rules set by the federal government long ago. I have to say it's frustrating to me that we can't welcome everybody. But that is one of the key things to keep in mind as you're looking at our programs. If you have questions about that, you can reach out. I'm going to give you some email addresses at the end. All programs require you to pass a federal background check, and that is a part of the, after an offer is made, there's a pause in the offer and a federal background check is started. For the summer, it's a really short background check, but for the post-baccs who are here year-round, it's a little bit more of an in-depth background check. And I mention it because marijuana is legal in many states, including the state I live in. We just voted to legalize marijuana, but it is not considered a legal drug by the federal government. So smoking marijuana in your home state where it's legal can keep you from coming to NIH. So that is a really key eligibility issue. I have my own personal opinions about whether that makes any sense, but those are the rules, and I don't like it when people are disappointed. Some of the programs have other eligibility criteria. Some have a minimum GPA. Some programs require you to show financial need. Some are only for students in community college. Some are for students interested in health disparities. There are various eligibility requirements for the different programs. So a key thing is getting on our website and reading the program website carefully. Read before you reach out, but if after reading you still have a question, it's really important to drop us an email and ask. There are also great videos where we talk about the programs. Watch them. There's also FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions about each program, read them. I know that it is a dense site that can look a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes it feels overwhelming when I look for something, but I encourage you to sort of take a deep breath and just read through the site and watch the videos. So many people tell me, oh, I would never get in. And I say, you should try it. You should apply. You should think about it. And then I welcome them to NIH. I forgot I was going to talk about one other program, the undergraduate scholarship program. This is a program for college students. This program provides up to $20,000 per year to cover your college expenses. You have to meet certain eligibility criteria. There is a citizenship requirement. Some people here in asylum status are eligible. So watch the video and reach out to the program. Your GPA needs to be greater than a 3.3. You will be asked to demonstrate extreme financial need. We will reach out to your school to get a FAFSA form, your financial aid forms, because it is legislatively mandated that you meet the definition of extreme financial need. You have to major in a field relevant to biomedical research. That's very broad. We've had nursing students come, biology, chemistry, physics, social sciences, math, you name it. It's very broad, but you have to be able to come to NIH and be happy working here. And you have to be able to pass a federal background check, like I talked about just a moment ago. Now, we give you up to $20K to go to college. Actually, we don't give it to you. We give it right to your college. In return, you come as a summer intern. So if you take money your junior year, at the end of your junior year, you come to NIH as a summer intern. You are guaranteed a position. And then for every year of money you take, you work with us for 1 year in a paid internship. So if you take 2 years of scholarship money, you come for 2 years of what we call a payback, where you work at NIH. You have access to all those resources that I talked about, right? And you prepare for whatever comes next in your career. The undergraduate scholarship program application opens in about January or February. There is always an informational webinar. And in my experience, people who come to those webinars, they get a big leg up. Also, you can email me with questions as you're applying, but I really encourage you to go to the webinar. Now let's go to the programs I said I was going to talk about. And the first is the Summer Internship Program, or SIP. These are paid internships. You work in an NIH intramural research group in very, very broad disciplines, all across that basic clinical and translational space, and it lasts anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. You have to be enrolled in school at least half time the semester before SIP starts. So in the spring semester, you have to be enrolled. Or if you took a gap year, but you are going to start school in the fall, then you're still eligible. But the eligibility is enrolled in school at least half time. All of the NIH campuses have SIP positions, and we have experiences at the high school, college, graduate school, and professional school level. Generally, at the high school level, it's very restricted eligibility requirement, and you have to be local to be in the high school SIP. So largely, I'm talking about college, graduate students, and professional students. Now, there is this big, broad umbrella called the SIP, and the SIP has probably 1,100 interns each year. Last year, yeah, go ahead.
Somebody wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
So when you get the scholarship and you're spending a year at NIH, do you get paid, or it was just your scholarship?
So during the year, you don't get paid. It's just the scholarship. It's just the summer that you get paid. And then when you come to NIH to work the year, you get paid. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'll keep the Q&A open. And I was looking at the chat, not paying attention.
No, it's okay. I could pay attention, and I could pay attention, and I answered
Also,
some of them as well.
I think what I'll do is talk about SIP and then maybe pause for a little bit. Okay. Because there are some questions here that would be good to answer now. Some I'm going to get to a little bit later. Actually, you know what? I'm going to answer these now. All right. So are there remote research opportunities? There is a new remote summer internship that I will talk about in just a few minutes. Will you discuss opportunities in California? There are no NIH campuses in California. If you want to work at a campus in California, you would want to go to our website, and we have a link to all kinds of other summer programs. My guess is through this program, you get all kinds of notification about internships, but I won't discuss any opportunities in California because we don't have a campus there. You can apply, depending on eligibility criteria, you can apply to more than one program. Dietetics and biotechnology, you know, we have had a lot of students major in those areas, especially the dietetics. We have an institute, NIDDK, the National Institute of Diabetes, Digestive and Kidney Disorders. Biotechnology spans lots of different institutes. So it's quite possible that it would be beneficial. Does the NIH fund research at other locations or universities? Yes, that's the extramural NIH. You don't apply to them through the NIH. You apply to them directly. So they would advertise if they have a program. And I can send all of you some information on finding programs that extramural NIH funds. For example, I'm going to talk about our post-bacc, but there is a post-bacc that NIH funds called the PrEP program, and that's at universities. You could apply there. So I'll make sure that you get that information. SIP does not require any extreme financial need. It's open to everyone. are the scholarships open for immigrants if you have permanent residency status or have become a citizen? You are eligible for all of these programs. If you are currently here in DACA status, we ask that you email us directly. We wish that the DACA regulations allowed you to participate in our SIP and Post-bacc, but they don't. So we have some other mechanisms that we try to use to support DACA students. There are university programs that have a lot more flexibility for students here on student visas and DACA status. And again, my personal feeling is we should welcome everyone, but we work within rules that are written by the federal government, and we have to comply. All right, so I cleared this set of questions. Does anybody want to put anything else in before I go on? All right, so let's talk then about the summer program. So you can work on any NIH campus. So that's Bethesda, Baltimore, North Carolina, Montana, that list of campuses that I mentioned earlier and that is in the chat. So we have this broad umbrella program, okay, called SIP. But we, over time, have looked and said we need some special programs to make NIH welcome and open to everyone. So perfect timing. Mario just put in to the chat, to the question here, do the summer programs require some level of experience in research or some medical field? And we want to make sure that everyone has access. People without experience should have the same opportunity to come here and get experience. So we've developed some what we call sub-programs. The first is CSEP, for Community College Summer Enrichment Program. So if you're enrolled in community college, what we learned in our examination of the summer program was you didn't have as high a success rate. And that is related in part to the fact that you haven't had a lot of research experience. So we developed a program. Likewise, if you are a college student who hasn't had a lot of prior research experience or doesn't have opportunities on their campus at all, you can apply to CSOR, Summer Opportunities for Advancing Research. For C stands for college students. Someone asked about virtual programs. So we appreciate that some people are excited to relocate to our campus for the summer, but some people are not. Some people can't. So this year we will offer VSOR for virtual summer opportunities for advancing research. We have a program called the Amgen Scholars Program. That's paid for by the Amgen Foundation. It's for college students interested in health disparities. For that program, you have to be in the Bethesda campus. Amgen is the one program we have where housing is provided, and all the other programs, you have to find your own housing. We pay you a stipend to pay for that housing, but you still have to work to find it. Amgen scholars all live together at the George Washington University. And then we have a program for graduate students, GSOR, another program for medical students called MSOR. If any of you are graduate students who study data science in master's programs, we have a program there as well. But primarily, I'm guessing you are interested in CSEP, CSOR, VSOR, and Amgen. So we have this big, broad umbrella. You can apply to that, or instead, you can apply to one of these. You can't apply to both. So you can't say, I want to apply to the broader SIP and CSEP. You have to pick one. Generally, I suggest you start with one of these smaller programs. They have earlier deadlines. We tell you earlier, and then if you don't get in, we release your application. So indirectly, you can apply to both. So we put your application into the broader pool. The key point about these programs here is the selection process happens centrally in OITE. So you want to read the FAQs and watch the videos. You apply online follow the directions. Deadlines are earlier, so you need to pay attention to that. Then a committee in OITE reads all of the applications and makes selections, and then you get notified. If you're selected for the program, then my staff will work with you to help you get placed. So we will support you through that whole process. If you're a new transfer student and you're currently at a four-year college, you should apply to CSOR. We take a lot of community college transfers in CSOR. But if you are currently in the spring in community college, but you're going to transfer in the fall, you apply to CSEP. Okay? It's where you are in the spring before the program starts. All right, so hopefully that was clear there. Now, these programs have this separate process with different deadlines, and you apply, you wait to hear from us. The rest of the SIP has a different process. The rest of the SIP, it's not a committee that reads your application. The selection process actually happens at the level of each scientist at NIH. So NIH scientists pick their own applicants to SIP. So you apply in the database, but they select you. So it's not that OITE selects you, it's an individual lab selects you. And this makes for a little bit more of a confusing process. So the front end is the same. You read the FAQs, you watch the videos, you apply online. Don't apply last minute. Most people who get an SIP offer apply by the middle of January, if not early January. Now, once you're in the database, NIH investigators, and we call them PIs, they search the application database and they pick people. So you want to work to reach out to a lot of investigators so that they know that you're interested in working with them. And I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. Once an investigator reaches out, they may want to talk to you by phone or Zoom. If you happen to be local, they would talk to you in person, but almost no one is local. People come to the SIP from all over the US and all of the territories. Generally, the interviews are by phone or in person. So that's the SIP, okay? You apply to one of the sub-programs or you apply to the broader SIP. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the application when I talk about the post-bacc because the application is the same. There's a question here from someone who has a bachelor's doing prerequisites to apply for a graduate program. Would you be eligible under the post-bacc? Could I do summer? So if you are enrolled in school at least half time, you are eligible for the summer. The post-bacc, I'm going to go over the eligibility in a moment, and you might be eligible, okay? I'm going to go over that in a moment. It depends when you got your college degree. So a lot of times people doing that, and we have a lot of people like that who come to various programs here, they reach out and ask specifically about their exact situation, and then we give them advice. All right, so the post-bacc program is a year-long program. It can be 1 or 2 years. People can get a third year, but most people stay 1 or 2 years. And it is for recent college graduates. You have to apply within 3 years of your undergraduate degree or 6 months of a master's degree. You can work on any of the NIH campuses, and these are paid internships. And again, it's across many disciplines, right? So depending on what you do, you'll want to, I'll show you the databases to figure out if there'll be a lot of opportunities for you or not. Also, you could email us with questions. All right, so let's talk a little bit about 2 what we call sub-programs. Remember, I talked about all of those sub-programs for the summer. We have 2 sub-programs for the post-bacc program. One is called the NIH Academy. Every post-bacc at NIH can participate in the NIH Academy. It's a certificate program focused on health disparities. It's really to prepare you for careers in research and in healthcare fields so that you are knowledgeable about health disparities and can be a part of the community working to decrease them, eliminate them, figure out why they happen so that we can do something about it. Another program is called the OITE PEP, and this is designed to encourage candidates from diverse backgrounds and experiences to come and be in the post-bacc program. The OITE PEP is run by us in OITE, and we take about 30 students a year. When you apply to OITE PEP, we first take a look at your application. If you don't get into the OITE PEP, we will put you into the broader post-bacc pool. So you don't give up your opportunity of applying to the broader program. The post-bacc application process looks like the summer internship application, except for OITE PEP. In OITE PEP, you apply, we read your application, we make decisions, we make selections. But for all of the rest of the post-baccs, the selection process happens at the level of the PI. So I know very, very often for internships, you're used to this idea that an admissions committee is reading the information. But in this case, you can consider it like the individual boss is deciding for herself or himself. So again, around the post-bacc application, read the website, read all of the frequently asked questions, watch the video. You want to apply 4 to 6 months before you want to start. So if you are graduating in May and you'd like to start in July, you want to get your application in February, March, April. And most of the selection, except for OITE PEP, the selection happens at the level of the PI. So you're going to have to learn this process of how to search, how to reach out to NIH scientists. And I'm going to teach you that in a minute. Again, there are interviews. They're by phone, rarely in person, but sometimes someone is here for a school trip or a family vacation. Sometimes someone is here close by. So it could be in person, but for the most part, it's virtual. All right. So let me see if there are any other questions, and then I'm going to talk about the application process. I don't see anything in the questions right now, but I will pause one moment.
No, ma'am. Yeah, all of them are
all of them are done?
Answered.
All right.
This is something I'm just going to add to this, is you guys pay attention to this, because this is actually a universal skill. So pay attention, take notes.
You are totally right, especially this part. Now we're done all the weird NIH program part, and I'm going to talk about putting together a strong application. And this is for summer or post-bacc. And there's even more in-depth videos. So if you lose your focus for a moment, you can watch me later on video. If you do that, make sure to like it. Okay, I go in and I check my likes. All right. So the application consists of, first and foremost, your contact information. We ask you how can we reach out to you. It's really important that you use an email that you check regularly. It should be a professional email if possible, your school email, not something like love to play video games at gmail.com, which is one that we got an application from recently. I mean, in some ways it's sort of funny. I chuckled, but in other ways, you want to put your most professional foot forward, and love to play video games at gmail.com is not that. So you'll have a cover letter, and I'm going to talk about writing a strong cover letter. You will have a resume. On our website is a guide to writing resumes, and there are examples of successful resumes. You will give us the name of people who will write you letters of recommendation, and we will ask you to type in a list of your courses and grades. Okay, that's the application for both of these. The application for the sub-programs like CSEP or VSOR, all those things I talked about are the same, except we ask you to provide us with special information in your cover letter. So we might say, please tell us about your leadership experience. Amgen, it says, please tell us why you want to learn about health disparities. Okay, but it's essentially the same for all of these. The cover letter is like your way of introducing yourself. It's your way of telling everyone why you want to come to NIH, what you have done in the past that makes you a good candidate. You can talk about your general interest in coming to NIH, your academic and hands-on preparation to date, the goals for your summer or post-bacc experience, why, what do you want to learn? Sometimes those goals are very broad. I've never had a research experience and I enjoy my lab classes at school and I really want a hands-on experience. Sometimes people have a very clear goal. I want to explore clinical psychology. I want to learn these particular techniques. But generally for summer and post-bacc, there are these broad general goals. And then a little bit about what you hope to do in the long term and what this will help you prepare for. It needs to be a little bit generic because many different PIs will read it, right? So you don't want to say, I am really, really interested in studying breast cancer, because maybe a scientist who studies liver cancer will pick up your application because it says the word cancer, and then they'll say, oh, they're not interested in my group. So it needs to be generic a little bit, and I'm going to show you what I mean in a few slides. Also, if you talk about skills you've learned, give us examples, right? Don't just say, I'm a good public speaker. Say, I took a course where we gave multiple presentations and I have worked to develop my presentation skills within science. A concrete example. I have good leadership skills. Instead say, I was the vice president of a club that focused on pre-healthcare careers. All right, so provide some concrete examples. Now, remember, I said you need to be a little bit generic to apply to lots of different people reading it. So I want to give you an example. I am broadly interested in cancer biology. That leaves open a lot of things, and wish to learn more about using animal models in cancer, right? Some of you might say, I want to do clinical research. Some of you might say, I want to work, with this particular technique that I learned as an undergrad. But in this case, they said using animal models. Now, here's someone who went one step further. Although I would be most interested in studying prostate cancer, I would welcome the opportunity to work in any cancer biology group. That's one way of appealing to lots of people, but there is some directing. Now, some people are even more generic. I would enjoy research on heart disease, stem cells, drug development, and other disease-specific research areas. That's pretty open. Lots of scientists could read that cover letter and say, oh, they might be a good fit for my group. To me, the ability to think about bench to bedside research is more important than the specific research area. So you've conveyed this huge amount of flexibility. Okay, here's another one. That's so these are good ways of doing it. Here are some that you wouldn't want to do. I am interested in studying prostate cancer in mouse models. Very narrow. You're not going to have as many opportunities. Now, maybe you say that's all I want to do, and that's okay. You get to choose, but you appreciate you've narrowed it. You don't want to do this. I want to do research for a year before going to medical school because research and medicine go hand in hand. I can't tell you how many times we see that sentence. People don't get picked, right? Because this is just a generic comment anyone could make. A thoughtful comment of, these are classes I took that influenced me. These are things I want to learn about. These are my career goals, and here's how NIH will help me get there. That's the goal. We have actual examples on the website, but I encourage you not to focus so much on seeing those examples as a template and trying to follow them. Okay, that's not the point. The point is to just give you a sense of the type of essay or cover letter that can be successful. Now, your resume is a big part of your application. I wish we had a system that just let you upload one as a PDF, but we don't. We're rebuilding the system now. I will be honest and say our current system is a bit frustrating, and the pandemic really slowed the development of new IT technology. We were so focused on other things. So you will put your resume into various text boxes, but you will email it to individual PIs. So you want to make sure it is really put together well. So a resume is really a concise representation of your educational journey. Some of you have work experience, so it's your professional journey as well. Please do not worry if all of your work has been outside of the science. You have done things that don't have anything to do with healthcare or medicine. We expect that in early career researchers. We actually are interested in knowing what you did, and we appreciate how hard it is to juggle school and work. So we will be interested regardless of whether it's in science or not. Your resume at the top should have your contact information. Then you'll list your schools attended, the dates, if you've received any degrees, and then you can have some or all or none of these. Most of you will have some honors and awards, whatever scholarships you've received. Maybe you worked in a research lab. Maybe it was a part of work study and you washed dishes. We don't care. That's relevant experience. Maybe you've given a presentation on your campus. Some, especially at the post-bacc level, not so much at CSEP or CSOR summer programs, but sometimes at the post-bacc level, you've had a chance to write a paper together with a mentor from a summer program. It can be viewed as very valuable in the clinical space to speak various languages. So a lot of people choose to put that in their resume, and we love to see leadership experience. We asked for it specifically in our sub-programs because we're interested in your science experience and your educational experience, but also your well-rounded experience. Letters of recommendation are something else we ask for. It is best if it comes from people who know about your research skills or your educational skills. So if you don't have research, it will be from teachers. If that could be a teacher in science or math, that's great. But if you got to know a teacher in another area really well, that's fine as well. It can also be from a boss or someone outside of school if they can talk about your work ethic, your responsibility. It should not be from family or friends, pastors, coaches. Okay, it really should be from someone who knows you in a more educational and professional experience. You put in their names. You should talk to them before you put their name in. They shouldn't be surprised. And if they don't enthusiastically say, yes, I can write you a strong letter, you should ask someone else. It's really important to say, would you write me a letter? And do you feel confident that you can write me a strong letter? So that's the application, all the various parts of the application. So now we're going to go into a little bit more depth about the selection process. Remember, except for those sub-programs, there are 1,000 different investigators at NIH searching the application database, picking people. But let's be honest, they're sort of lazy. So you really increase your chances of getting an offer if you email some of them once you upload your application. So you finish your entire application, you make sure your references, or at least one of them, is in, and then you reach out to scientists and say, I'm interested in working on your group, in your group. You send them your cover letter and your resume as part of the email. So how do you find them all? Do not Google. If you Google NIH and cardiovascular, you might get people at a university. Now, if you want to work with an NIH-funded person at a university, that's fine. But this program isn't to allow that. These are the programs where you come and work at NIH. So here is a database. It's called the NIH Annual Reports. You go there. There is also a list of NIH intramural investigators grouped by scientific discipline. There is also a set of contacts. Let's say you know you're interested in gerontology. You could contact the training director at the National Institute on Aging. So there's a list of those contacts. Some people just go to the summer or post-bacc poster day program and they look for people who did interesting projects based on the title. I personally don't think that's all that helpful, but some people in my office think it's a really helpful thing. So you should try it. The best thing to do is to watch this video where it explains how to find an NIH mentor. It's really helpful. So you're going to search the database because you can't read 1,000 different descriptions. So you're going to search with keywords. Now, you don't want to be too broad. Cancer, way too big, right? Breast cancer, narrowing it down. Maybe you're going to only want to be on a particular campus. So you could narrow down by campus, right? Maybe you have family in Baltimore. So you want to do your internship in Baltimore. You might choose campus Baltimore and then keywords. You can use a disease, a technique. Some people say, I want to learn proteomics. I want to learn coding. I want to learn microscopy. You could use a model system. I want to be an optometrist, so I'd love to do some research in the eye. So you could pick a model system. An organ, right? Or physiological system. By model system, I'm sorry, I should have pointed out that would have really been an organ. Model system, I want to learn how to work with mice, right? Or I want to learn cell culture. You search the database, you get these hits back, you read a little bit about what they do. It's pretty intimidating. Don't read in great detail, okay? It does not require great detail. And then you send them emails. Do not send generic spam, dear doctors, CC a whole bunch of them. We don't read those. So no generic spamming. You want to write an email to them that explains why you're interested in working with them. If you are applying for the post-bacc and you've been here before, you'll talk about your previous NIH experience. If you're a summer intern, and you've never done research before, that's okay. You still can apply. Many of our summer interns have had no prior research experience. You want to make it easy for them to learn more about you, and that means putting your resume in the email, okay? For CSEP, you are correct, Eric. You do not have to find your own researcher. So we will do that with you. So you're correct. And that's true for OITE PEP. That is true for all of those summer sub-programs. We will engage with you about this. We're not going to just place you somewhere and it turns out to be a place you're not interested in, but we're not going to do it. You don't have to do this part. You don't have to reach out. I'm sorry, my wife is texting me like crazy, so I just paused a minute. So I wanted to give you an example of one of these letters. So this is much more specific than that generic cover letter, because here you are telling them that I want to work in your lab, okay? I am extremely interested in strengthening my research abilities. You tell them why. Here's what I've done. here are some things that I want to learn, right? I'm passionate about working on research that will impact this and that. Here's someone who is interested in zebrafish, right? And then you say, I've applied to the Post-bacc program and I've attached my resume. If there is any other information I can provide, contact me by phone or at my email. Okay, I look forward to hearing from you. Now, I want to point out something here, and we do it on purpose. I actually cringe. I worked for Dr. Esteemed Researcher at the Mayo Clinic. Sometimes we do have a chance to do that. Sometimes we don't. I went to graduate school. I didn't work for Dr. Esteemed anyone before grad school. I worked really crazy, odd summer jobs to pay for college. And during the year, I didn't have any opportunity to work in a research lab. So maybe you have this, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. Apply anyway. All right. The reason I say that is that many of us are actually looking to give people an opportunity. Someone gave us one, so we want to give someone else an opportunity. If you are applying to the Post-bacc program and you say, I've never done research, apply to OITE PEP as the start. Okay, that's your best bet. For summer, it's really easier to get experience without prior experience. But because the Post-bacc is 2 full years, it does help to have summer research experience. So here's an example of a PI letter. Now, one part of all of this is getting people to interview you. Another part is finding a really good environment that nurtures and supports you, is welcoming, feels good. There's a lot of information on finding mentors. We have a video on finding quality mentorship. It's important to ask about the environment. It's important to talk with current and previous mentors of the group. If you get an offer and you're not sure whether to accept it or not, I'm going to give you my email address and you can say, I met you virtually at the CC program. Okay. I think that would be, I would be honored to help. There are a few things about having a successful experience. This is an intense place. One of the reasons why I like first-time researchers to do those sub-programs is we really support you through the process. And I think for a first internship, we all need support through the process. So one part is getting the internship. The next part is thriving in the internship. There are so many resources here to help you. Pay attention to them. Do not come and ignore OITE emails. Read our information in advance. Come to orientation in advance. One of the most important things we offer, both in the summer and during the year, is the Resilient Scientist series. It has such a profound effect on the way science students look at the stresses of this environment. And so these are really important tips for success. You want to make a plan. You want to, revise it, talk to mentors about it, think it through. You want to be really proactive in making solid plans, getting advice, reaching out to people like me, coming to our workshops so you get to know us better. With that, I am going to take as many more questions as there are. Should you attach your personal statement to letters to PIs? You can, but really what you need to attach is your resume. It's way more important than the cover letter, but you can attach both if you wish to. All right, what else?
This is the chance to ask any. We'll post it. We'll post the slide on the thing so you'll have it.
Oh, that's even. Do you want me to upload it right now?
If you email it to me, I could upload it on the website. That's the best way to put it.
All right. It's just going to take me a minute.
That's okay. I'll email you an email right after and then you can just respond back to that one and I'll post it.
Yeah. Okay. You send me an email and then I'll take care. I'm trying to do it now, but it's not so easy.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. You get into the system and suddenly all the things that work easily, you're like, where's that button?
Yeah,
So
the problem is they update stuff and they don't tell you, and then you
I
gotta like,
know.
I know like
Yep.
Zoom a couple of weeks ago updated their portal, so it's like you gotta look for everything. So
Yep.
it's a first world problem, but it is.
It is a first world problem. All right. Any other
Um,
questions?
this is
Oh,
an opportunity. She's available, and ask her any questions you have because so somebody wanted to know the GPA requirement.
so there is a GPA requirement for UGSP, which is a 3.3. Beyond that, many of our programs say there's a requirement, but we also say if you have a lower GPA but are improving, please apply anyway. Some scientists, like me, for example, didn't have very good GPAs, and we don't care. Other scientists really do care, and you might not get selected because of your GPA. But my advice is, if it doesn't say, just apply and see how it goes. If it says and yours is below, in all the websites it gives a place where you can send a question. You could do that, or you could email me. Are there virtual internships for high school students who are younger than 17? So there are not. You can't be placed in a lab, but the summer curriculum that we offer, the college prep curriculum, the high school leadership program, and the resilience series for high school students has been broadcast each of the last 3 years, and I imagine that we will continue broadcasting it. So while you can't do an internship working with an NIH investigator, there are many things that you can join. I'm interested in cardiology. Any recommendations about what I see? So there is NHLBI, the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. There are some actually interesting opportunities in cardiology outside of that institute. We had a student in CSEP a couple of years ago who worked in the biomedical imaging, NIBIB, National Institute of Biomedical Engineering and Imaging, something like that. He worked with somebody who studied shear forces on cardiomyocytes, so the cells that make up the heart. So you should look at NHLBI, but you don't have to, you might not end up there. You might find something else. Would you be able to talk a little more about Amgen and how applying to that? Yeah. So actually Amgen is funded by this other, it's called a public-private partnership. And the beauty is that they pay for housing, and that does decrease people's stress. But Amgen has a very strict requirement that you are interested in graduate school. So those of you who want to go to medical school should not pick Amgen or any other clinical program. You should not pick Amgen because we can't take you. It's a requirement of Amgen. Also, our Amgen program has a requirement that you talk about your leadership experiences, and we have a focus on health disparities in our Amgen program. So why do people apply to Amgen? Because of the housing, because of the focus on health disparities. There are a lot of reasons. What does it take to get into Amgen? You have to be genuinely interested. Their goal is to promote people to obtain PhDs. So that's one of the big differences. I'm a post-bacc enrolled in university, recently graduated, also a grad student. You are definitely eligible for the summer program because you are enrolled part-time as a graduate student. You also are likely eligible for the post-bacc program. I would encourage you to send an email there's a OITE SIP_post-bacc where there's a link off the website. I think it's at nih.gov. I would encourage you to email and verify, but it sounds to me like you might be eligible to both. How much science will students need for a successful CSEP application? The honest truth is we take first-year community college students, so you haven't had a whole lot of science. Sometimes there's a little bit of a stretch in learning some things, but we handpick mentors who really buy into the idea that giving people internship opportunities early in their education is important. So if you had a good first year and you've taken some science courses, go right ahead and apply. When do applications open? You know what? No need to apologize, because I forgot to say they opened on Thursday and quickly closed because we had a server issue, but they are back up. I think the deadline for CSEP and CSOR are in early January. Also, next week, Tuesday, is our community college day at NIH, an all-day virtual program.
Yeah, everybody's going to get an email that's been here. Everybody that was on our list have already got an email. So
thank you so much.
This is the one question somebody asked that it didn't come up on there. They said, what's the percentages to getting in for each program? And I would say the only data that I know that exists that it's a universal is that you get rejected 100% of the time if you don't apply to any programs. So
you're like my favorite person, because I couldn't agree more. But I will be honest and tell you, if you apply to the broader SIP way at the end, your chances of getting in are very, very low. If you apply to the broader SIP towards the beginning, we have about, what's the number? I would say that you have about a 20% chance of getting in. CSEP and CSOR slightly higher. And the honest truth is, if you watch our video, and we offer to read essays and give feedback, if you take us up on that, it raises your chances. Post-bacc is probably 35 to 40% of persistent applicants get in. By persistent, I mean they email multiple people. The other thing that I would say is that you can't get disheartened. So when you don't get in, it is no reflection on you. It is a reflection on the fact that we don't have enough positions. And you should look for other quality experiences. I encourage everyone to hedge their bets and apply to multiple programs. I think that that is a really key thing. There's a set of programs called REUs for the summer, Research Experience for Undergraduates. The NSF funds those. They are all for first-time researchers. Most REUs are for first-time researchers. And then for post-baccs, and REUs are at universities. So you could find an REU in California and stay at home, right? For post-baccs, there's the NIH prep program, and those are also at universities. All right, I asked about dietetics. I mentioned a diabetes focus. NIDDK, the National Institute of Diabetes, Digestive, and Kidney Disorders. And if you're in an MPH studying health disparities, you might want to look at the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities, NIMHD. There's health disparities research in the other institutes. Any advice for students changing careers? I've been a business executive working in health equity. I'm very interested in learning about research. I'm no longer in college. I am in part-time graduate school. So if you are in at least half-time graduate school, you would be eligible for the summer internship program. But my feeling is that you might be best to find opportunity locally and start by doing a little bit of volunteering in research. It's possible, again, depending on how many credits you're taking in grad school, that you would be eligible for our summer internship program. I actually think there are some people, some researchers here who might be interested to some degree in your background in health equity. If you want to actually have a research experience, I think you could potentially leverage that. Somebody in our office could give you a little bit of advice once you drafted an initial cover letter. What is the process to request volunteer opportunities? with NIH researchers, you cannot work as a volunteer in the summer. You must be a part of the summer internship program. We don't want people to be taken advantage of. You could have a paid internship, but somebody says, "Oh, I prefer a volunteer," and then you have a life, and you have to pay for your education and food and healthcare, etc. So you can't volunteer here during the summer. We are reevaluating our volunteer positions during the year. We have something called academic intern program, AIP, and we are really, I think, going to transition from unpaid labor. I agree. I have a kid, he's 20 something, and I just see his struggles in getting his life on the ground, and he has parents who can help out. Some of you do and some of you don't, and we should pay you. I don't think we pay you enough even when we pay you. So we're really pushing away from unpaid internships. That said, I will acknowledge that a lot of university scientists take volunteers. You should first see if there are paid internships, if you can do work study, but if you have to volunteer, that really professional cover letter and resume that I talked about, that's how you volunteer.
The other question is, some people have asked this, what if you don't have the opportunity to go into a community college and you've gone to classes and you've worked at Starbucks or at a cafe, or how do you leverage those skills when you're applying to NIH or other research programs? How are those transferable?
Yeah, so I really think that for the summer, a lot of programs, the REUs, the OITE sub-programs, they are designed to help people who haven't had a chance to do research. I mean, some people have the financial luxury of doing research during the school year. Some are running right from class to Starbucks, right? Or Costco. My son works at the post office, right? It's, this is what he does. And it would be hard to squeeze in research around other things. So those programs are designed to help with that. So for the summer, you talk about what you learned. You can say, I am paying my way through college, working X number of hours per week. I have learned tenacity. I have learned resilience. I have learned professionalism. I really need this summer opportunity so that I can also gain some valuable work experience in research. Now, if it's the post-bacc, it's a lot harder because, again, it's a year-long experience, and most NIH scientists prefer someone who's done a summer internship at least. And in fact, one of the best reasons to come here for the summer is because you have a great chance of getting into the post-bacc if you were here for the summer. I think for the post-bacc, if you don't have any research experience, the way to go is OITE PEP, and to talk about the classes where you did research, right? Whether it was lab, you did it in a required lab, but still to use those skills. Also, again, to highlight the transferable skills that you learned in your other job. So hopefully that helps on that one. All right, what else, everyone?
Ask away. I think that the talk that you gave about how to approach PIs, it's very transferable. So all of you guys that want to do research at your university, I would follow those instructions to the letter, because it's actually very helpful and important information.
Thank you. All right, going once, going twice.
Oh,
my sister is in the process. Wait a minute, to become applying for an MD. We have a huge number of videos on our YouTube channel about interviewing for medical school, applying, all kinds of test taking strategies and such. So you might want to recommend that. And I will enjoy my pizza, and all of you enjoy your weekend. I know that next week is a short week for many of us. I hope that you all have a chance to relax. you will get access to the video. If she doesn't get accepted, back to your sister applying. Yeah, probably she's eligible for the post-bacc program, but she has to check the eligibility and see what program is good for pre-med. Both the summer internship and the post-bacc are good for pre-med. I mean, you have to get clinical experience, and that may be what you choose to do instead, but research is very helpful for getting into medical school. All right. So,
well, I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you again. Yes, we will post the PowerPoint on the page that that you registered. It's going to be posted on there forever, and the video is going to go up
cool.
as soon as it's processed.
Cool. Thank you all. I was really so pleased to get an invitation to come. So thank you.
Thank you very much again.
All right.
And enjoy your pizza.
Thank you.